Hello everyone, Voodoo here. So today I actually want to talk about a bit of a different topic on the channel, and that is going to be no mover. Now I have done no mover builds before, videos and stuff, but I want to do a bit of a discussion about no mover right now in 10.1, and then also talk about it in 10.2 about like what's changing. Before we get into that though, make sure you like the video, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support me, become a channel member down below, and also follow Twitch, follow Discord, all that fun stuff. So we're here on live. I have, just my gear, whatever, not optimized for no mover, whatever, who cares. And this is the current no mover build. Now there was one point I didn't even remember where to put it, so I just threw it in Fellfire Heart. I don't remember if that's where that goes, but whatever. But this is basically the current best like single target no mover build. And the whole idea here is that you're avoiding all the movement talents on the left side, and there's various reasons for that. Maybe you just don't want to use movement for damage. Maybe you can't because of like a personal disability. Maybe you can't because reaction time is slower. Maybe you get motion sick. Maybe your wrists hurt. Whatever. There's reasons why you might not want to use that movement for damage that Havoc has currently, and that's fine. Movement is part of Havoc's class identity right now, spec identity, sorry, and that's going to stay for the foreseeable future. It's been told that it is one of the things that reals think Havoc is like unique for, and is like Havoc Demon Hunter with the movement stuff, and I do agree. I don't think that's going to change unless they decide to split Havoc into two specs, which is going to not really happen. So while I do think that the movement stuff's sticking around, I do also recognize that not everyone has to like it. And right now the biggest issue is you're going to have to move no matter what if you want to do damage, and that's because of isolated prey. Isolated prey is the real reason why we fell rush on CD. You see here, the very bottom part is that it generates 25 to 35 fury whenever you hit a single target. So even against one target here, I'm not taking any of the fell rush talents on this side. No initiative, no unbound chaos, no momentum. I still have to come through here and fell rush in order to get fury, because it's just the best fury generator we have. Right? It's the most efficient. It's better than everything else because it has such a short GCD. If I spend my fury out here, it's going to be better for me to actually just fell rush here to get fury than it is to push anything else, because the GCD is so short. You'd say I push it and it like doesn't even lock me out of anything really. I could push Immolation Aura, but it's a much longer lockout versus all my other buttons. I push this, again, much longer lockout versus my other buttons. So that's kind of the reason right now where, even though like no mover technically exists, and it's not that far behind, we'll jump to Sims in a second. No mover technically exists and is in a spot where it's like not that bad to take. It's not great because of the fact that you still have to move. So you're moving basically the same amount as all these things. You don't have to do the backflip stuff, even though I did it. That's just memory, so that's my bad there, muscle memory, whatever. But you still have to do your isolated prey stuff, right? So there's this world right now on retail where no mover is like an ideal that doesn't exist. So we hop over to Sims. I should have a no mover sim up here somewhere if I can just find it. So it's right here. So this is like on live current gear and stuff with no mover. I'll just slide myself over here. We can see here that top gear above is the whatever the current best gear, which is S cycle serrated glaive stuff, and no mover is 7,000 DPS behind. Now 7,000 DPS off of 150,000 is a sizable amount. So if we do 143,000 divided by 150,000, we can see how much percentage that is. I should know this beforehand if I didn't. It's like 5%, which is like fine, I guess. If you don't really care about your damage or whatever, 5% is not that bad, but it's viable. But this is still with you using fell rush on cooldown because of isolated prey. So even when it's viable, you're in this world where you still have to fell rush around because it's your best fury generator, and that is a problem. Now, good news, if we jump into a little time loop here and fast forward over to 10.2, we see that the talent tree looks incredibly different. So this is the new no mover build, at least that we have from Sims, and for single target anyways, for 10.2, and you can see there's no movement here. So all these talents are still the movement talents, but initiative, unbound chaos, auto retreat, inertia, momentum, whatever. But this node is actually changed. So you can see here it says Immolation Aura always critically strikes, and that was where the fell rush node was. What this means is it's now possible to take a build that doesn't actually play with any of the movement talents, and you can just sit there. You can stand absolutely still and do your full rotation. Now, there are some problems with this build. I do think it's a little bit Fury starved. You're not taking a Fire Inside, which is like great Fury with Burning Hatred, but you know, that's neither here nor there. Overall, this build feels fine. I mean, its sim is pretty good as well. We'll get to sim in a second. But I just want to show you the general rotation here. The only real movement you need to do is like the hunt. And yes, it's optimal technically to use Fel Rush here if you have nothing else to cast, but that is optional. I mean, like, it is optimal to do so because it's better than just like wasting free globals, but it's important to remember that you don't actually need to do that. So if we come in here, we just Sigil Flame, Immolation Aura, hunt in, use I-Beam, Annihilation, Death Sweep, Meta, Death Sweep, Annihilation, I-Beam. I'm not moving at all. I am not moving here. We're doing my full rotation 100% optimally, and I'm not actually pushing any movement buttons. Now, you do need to wiggle back and forth a little bit just to pick up soul shards, and there will be points here, like right now, where I'm going to Fel Rush because I had nothing else to push. I mean, I guess Fellblade came up right then, but you don't need to move. You're just using all your Fury generators. You're pushing your buttons on cooldown, and the gameplay feels fine. It feels pretty good. Damage, you know, I'm doing sizable damage here. So there, technically, it would have been good. Right here, you know, I'm going to Fel Rush, so I don't have anything else to do. But you don't need to do that. That's optional. And I think for those of you out there who are like, yeah, you know, I want to play Havoc, but I don't want to move, then this build is going to be one of those things that's very doable for you. And which was fine. Of course, I was in meta the whole time. I did a 5-minute thing, and it was like 135 on dummy, which isn't that bad. But how does it actually perform in sims? Well, here we have our single target sim. So if we look, I'll move my self back over here where we look at some sims here. This is our current best single target mover build in pure single target. We look down here, it is roughly 5.8 thousand ahead of our no mover single target build. Again, you know, maybe stats change things, maybe a little bit of APL optimization changes things, but roughly we'll say 6,000 DPS now. 6,000 DPS is about 2.2% behind the top one, which is actually much narrower than it is on live currently, where you have to do like, it's like 5 point something percent, and that's with you Fel Rushing still for Fury. So this is no Fel Rushing for Fury. This is no movement at all aside from Fel Rushing when you have nothing else to push, which again is optimal. It's optimal, but it's not like a major gain like Fel Rushing with the old build was. So it's pretty reasonable if you are a no mover fan to actually just not move. We have some builds for AoE as well. Now, of course, AoE sims are going to be a little bit scuffed. I have this one here. So this is just like a shorter pull build. This is like Dungeon Slice. We see here on Dungeon Slice, the best no mover AoE build here, which would be something like this with like ID. And this is this build changes depending on your target count. So, you know, AoE sims are weird and yada yada yada. So don't worry about AoE stuff right now. But we can see here it is roughly 11,000 DPS behind the top one. This works out to roughly, I think it was like 4 to 5% behind on a Dungeon Slice sim. Then if we go to another sim here that is a little bit of a different thing, I think this is 5 targets at 40 seconds. We can see that this build here is roughly 73,000 behind Glaive Tempest, which is the best build at this level. And this is roughly 8%. So as you scale up your target count, the no mover builds do start to fall behind. This is also a different build than the other one, taking some different talents. That's going to happen. I'm going to do a different video on AoE stuff because there's a lot to break down there. But in terms of like no mover and things, there's actually a lot of like choices and options you have when you come into 10.2, right? Like you have different things you can end up doing with like your talent build and just in the point allocation at the bottom here. You guys saw the different AoE stuff. Like in AoE, you could do this. That works. You could do something like this. That would work. You could do even like some weird stuff, like you drop this for this. That would work. So there's a bunch of different no mover builds in both AoE and single target. And while they're better in single target, like 2% behind, which is like for the most people playing this game, pretty much anyone who probably will watch this video, 2% is fine. 2% is very doable, especially if you're someone who isn't used to like inertia or like movement stuff and you're worried you're gonna mess it up. Playing that 2% is like very, very fine. Like 2% is like nothing, you know what I mean, in the grand scheme of things. And then the AoE builds, yeah, there's a bigger difference, but there's also like a lot of different choices. Like if you truly do not like the movement stuff, you're worried about it, obviously I will recommend to practice it. But if you're just somebody who just vehemently hates it, then you can be avoiding that stuff in 10.2. So it's not going to be the best things in the world to play no mover, but in most situations, it is going to be fine to play no mover as a comfort pick, right? You can play this AoE build, you can play variations of this AoE build, you can play this single target build, and it's going to be between 2 and 10% behind depending on the situations. Obviously, larger pulls, larger AoE pulls, no mover is going to fall further and further behind. Unbound Chaos is powerful in AoE, Initiative is powerful in a dungeon, Inertia and Momentum are both very powerful in AoE. This is just more Fury, so like that's whatever. But, you know, in a dungeon, M+, you're probably going to fall a bit behind for no mover. I don't want to give a number on that. It's hard to accurately sim, but it is doable, but it's not as good in Mythic Plus. But in Raid, like 2% is something that is so incredibly close to each other that you're not a big fan of Momentum. If you're someone who hates it, you're worried you're not going to play it to your best, you can play no mover. Very easy to play, very comforting. You know, not a lot going on in this rotation here. You might like that, you might not like that. It's a very, very basic, very few button Demon Hunter rotation. You're basically pushing Chaos Strike, Blade Dance, and then your cooldowns like Eye Beam, the Hunt, and your Generator. So very, very bare bones Demon Hunter rotation. Very, very easy to pick up and play. So I think that if you're a new mover fan, if you want to not move at all while doing your damage, 10.2 will be a breath of fresh life for you. Now, I will say one thing, that if I were to just spec into a movement build real quick here, the movement is a lot better. You know, I will obviously have people, you know, I will recommend you go try it, because you have stuff like Immolation Aura. You're only really moving with Unbound Chaos procs with Inertia, which is a lot less. And then Momentum stacks up much higher now. So if we just get out of combat quickly here, Momentum's going to be a thing that stacks up very, very easily, very, very quickly. So if you know, wanted to try it, now is a good time to try it. Am I in combat? No, my talents did not change. Fun. I think this AUG is going to be in combat, so we're not going to change momentum here, but things are much easier to do with the new momentum stuff with Inertia. But even aside from that, no mover is alive and well in 10.2. Potentially better than anything we've seen before. So I'll drop the links below, the sims below and stuff like that, but that's going to be it for today. I did want to just talk about no mover and give you guys a bit of hope if you're a no mover fan about what can be coming in the future. So no mover, I don't want to say viable. I mean, in Raid, it's very viable, and plus, we'll see. But I do think it's a lot better. I think it's pretty simple to play if you're a fan of just 2-button Demon Hunter. And it's very, very not punishing. So for those of you who are worried about no mover being dead, worried you're going to have to play something you don't like, you want to play no mover Demon Hunter, it is the best spot it's been in all of Dragonflight in 10.2, which is very, very exciting. So that's going to be it for the video today. Let me know down below, are you a no mover fan, what you want to think. If you're a new mover guy who wants to try out the new stuff, go ahead. But overall, it is better. So drop a like, drop a comment, drop a sub, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Discord, and become a channel member if you want to support me. Links in the description. Hope you guys have a good day. I don't know what day this is coming out. Hope you have a good vault, or had a good vault. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. A big thank you to all of my channel members. Thank you, Andrew Keenel, 121, Payne, Andreas Latinakis, Joshua O'Connell, Period, Brad Wisniak, Zuligan, Exclamation, It's Bulk, and Flapjack67. Thank you all so much. It means the world to me. If you want to support myself, get some exclusive videos, get some emotes for comments, get an exclusive section of my Discord, then follow the link down below. Help me out a little bit. It's a great way to support me. But again, thank you all so much for helping keep the channel going and for all the support and everything. And appreciate you all. See you guys next time.